was gas, and all of those things are tangible. But one of the things that I am a big advocate for, and that is mental health. Whether that's in the church space or whether that's in education. And let's give Nigel a big hand clap of praise for making sure we was in here. Y'all know what? I got to pause. We have teachers from Mississippi, Jackson, Mississippi. Why don't y'all wave? Come on, man. Come on. That's what I'm talking about. Well, who got the whistle now? Who got the whistle? What a whistle. Blow your whistle. Oh, that. Blow your whistle now. God. Okay. All right, cool. Let me get out of the way because I'll be here all day. Hey, listen, I wanted to pause, and we know how important mental health is. And I really hope the Superdome is full of people when we talk about this subject matter, because I think it's so important to the progressive thrive or purpose of people. But not to prolong any longer, we have Dr. David Wallace, the co-founder of Sprout Education and owner of Dream House Lounge, that's going to come and is going to challenge us and help us with mental health. Amen. Before I transition again, my brother and my sister-in-law is here. Won't y'all stand? Y'all give them a big hand clap of praise, y'all. That's all the way from Maryland and D.C. There we go. Blow the whistle. You can blow it now. Blow it. Blow that. I got our family friend Factory. Come on, stand up, Factory. All the way from Maryland. Yeah. It's a beautiful thing. Come on, Dr. David. It's yours, man. Come on, let's give him a big hand clap of praise as he comes.
Thank you. Good afternoon. Y'all give me a little bit more energy. Good afternoon. My name is Dr. David Wallace. I am a soul coach and a spiritual leader here in the New Orleans area. I am a former educator and school leader, and most recently dean of a graduate school of education where I train teachers and school leaders around the country. Huge shout out to Nigel for inviting me to be in this space. I'll tell you a little bit about why I'm a mental health advocate before we get into the work, and what sparked my journey to education. I grew up in a single-family home in the south of Belglade, Florida, a small rural town surrounded by sugarcane. Moving to New Orleans, I felt very much so like at home, with everybody knowing everybody, everyone contributing to the success of the community. But one thing that really drove me into this life purpose of education, now mental well-being, is the story of my grandfather. My grandfather was forced out of school in the 6th grade to become a sharecropper. And so all his life he worked on the farm. And if you know anything about the Jim Crow South, you know that during the 60s, black people weren't afforded opportunities to read. And so my grandfather couldn't read. When I would come home from school, I would have to read his mail to him, process his bills to him. Some of you all may have that story or feel a story in your lineage, shout out to the ancestors, a story in your lineage that connects back to this idea of having to help someone older than you navigate life. So I made a commitment to education when I was in high school, and my grandfather shared the story with me that he was forced out of school to become a sharecropper, and he could not read. My journey in life, I went to Morehouse in Atlanta. Shout out to HBCUs. Had a lovely teaching career in New York City, as well as a brief stint as a school leader down in Miami, and then moved to New Orleans back in 2019. But I want to tell you about the power of prayer, the power of God, the power of the anointed, as well as the power of believing that the messages that you receive through your dreams can be a direct communication from God. In 2017, I was here running a summer teacher training program over at Phyllis Wheatley, and one of the custodians, she spoke to me one morning. She said, baby, can I talk to you for a minute? And I was like, yeah. She was like, I pray for you. And I was like, thank you. And she was like, when I prayed for you this morning, God sent me a message and told me to ask you, when are you coming home? And I said, I hope no time soon, because I thought she was talking about, I thought she was talking about transitioning, so I was like, I hope no time soon. But she said, no, God spoke to me this morning and told me that New Orleans is your home. And I said, oh, no, ma'am. I was like, I live in New York. I'm just here for the summer. She was like, no, there's work for you to do here. And that sat with me. This was in 2017. I didn't move here until 2019. So imagine 2 years sitting on that message and wondering, like, where did this lady get this information from? But I believe in the higher power. I believe in God. I also believe that many of us receive these divine messages that are supposed to help push our community forward. And so life happened. I was able to move here by way of a job. But I sat in that role, and then I thought about, this is not enough. And so I started to dream. I started to pray. I started to ask for guidance. And one night I had a dream about creating a space that focused on mental and spiritual well-being. And so I'm the proud owner of Dream House Lounge. We are a mental and spiritual wellness lounge located in the central business district of New Orleans. It's not lost on me that there's not a lot of black businesses in downtown New Orleans. It's also not lost on me that there are not a lot of spaces that solely dedicate the work to mental health and well-being. But that was my calling, and that's my purpose. And so it is also an honor to stand before you all today to not only encourage you to dream big, but also exercise imagination. It is important that we continue to pray to God, pray to our higher sources and beings, but also understand that faith without work is dead. And so I had to understand that I kept having those repeated dreams because it was a purpose. It was connected to my purpose. So today I want to talk to you about mental health and mindfulness. We're going to go through a few activities that center your mental health and well-being. I'm going to teach you all some breathing exercises as well as ways that you can continue to strengthen your mental health. But before I do that, I just want to get a quick show of hands. How many of you all have a spiritual routine? All right, and most of us. Now, I know for some of us, our spiritual routine is coming to church on Sunday. But in addition to coming to church, how many of us have our spiritual routines, the things that we do on our daily practices, whether it's prayer, whether it's meditation, whether it's deep breathing, gratitude? Okay, perfect. Many of us have our spiritual routines. How many of you all take those spiritual routines and translate them into your day-to-day work? All right. Okay, cool. So this is an easy crowd. We're going to be good. So the first thing that I want you to do is I want to give us an opportunity to reflect. Because part of taking care of your mental health is looking within. When we talk about spirituality, we think about the awareness of oneself. And so what I want to do is start with a quick reflection. How does your heart feel? I know I heard a lot of people just say, ooh. Pastor Everett told you I was going to put you to work. How does your heart feel? Take a moment to think about that. Now, I'm a true teacher at heart, so I'm going to have us do a turn and talk. But listen, when it's a lot of y'all, and it's one of me. It's a lot of y'all, and it's one of me, so I'm going to teach you a quick signal. When I put my hand up like this, you also raise your hand. That's just your signal to come back, okay? You want to try it right quick? Go ahead and tell your neighbor your favorite color. I got this side of the room that's following directions. They put their hands up. They came back. This side is following directions. Okay, cool. That was a quick practice round. So what I do want you to do is take a moment to share with your neighbor, reflecting on the question, how does your heart feel? We're going to chat for about 3 minutes, or a minute and a half each. Go for it. This is amazing. I facilitate hundreds of sessions every year across the country with my first business, Awakening Minds Consulting. And y'all are probably like one of the quickest groups that have come back when I threw that hand up. So thank you. The church folks know how to follow directions. I'm here for it. Would love to hear from a couple people from the space. How does your heart feel? Grateful. Thank you. How else? In the back? Oh, I thought you just raised your hand. You say what, love? Free? Oh, I love that. Lightness. I love that. Peaceful. All right. We have a lot of positive words. Are there any other negative, other side of the spectrum in terms of how your heart feel? Uneasy? Burden. Okay. Trouble. Okay. Can you share a little bit more about that trouble piece? Mm-hmm. Yeah. Thank you for sharing. Thank you for modeling vulnerability and sending you all the love and light as you continue to cope and celebrate his legacy on the other side. I asked that question, how does your heart feel? Because it's so incredibly important that we take time throughout our days to check in with self. So part of being aware of yourself is to be aware of the flow of your energy and the flow of your emotions. And so you can go from the spectrum of feeling peaceful, balanced, excited, free, all the way to feeling burdened, feeling anxiety, feeling exhausted or overwhelmed, particularly when we are in the day-to-day of working with our students, but also seeing the energy that's flowing around our city or across the country. Those things can have dramatic shifts on our mental health and well-being. And so I asked you that question, how does your heart feel? Because that is one thing that you can do every single day to check in with self. For me, my morning routine is to wake up, I meditate, I pray, I go outside, I put my bare feet on the earth's soil. Many of us, we keep our shoes on all the time, but you do know that we are energetic beings, and so we are supposed to connect with the source of the earth. And so I plant my bare feet in my backyard in the earth soil so that I can feel connected to Mother Earth, because that's an energy source. And I also reflect on how my heart feels. I reflect on some of the challenges that are also ahead, but I also give those challenges up to God after I reflect on them. So I ask you, how does your heart feel? And encourage you all to continue to do that reflection. My next question for you is, what does it mean to be well? What does it mean to be well? I'm going to have you go ahead and turn back to your neighbor and discuss that question. Go for it. You okay? Aw, I love this. I want to be mindful of time, and I want to get us to this meditation activity. let's hear from a couple people. What does it mean to be well? Yes, in the back. Mm. Mm. Thank you for that. What else? What does it mean to be well? We also have some like love happening right here. I think it's like fourth grade teacher, right? Okay, fourth grade teacher right here. Talk about, oh, I love that. Listen. Yes, I love that. Okay, fourth grade teacher, school principal. I love the I love that. Talk about a moment of wellness. Talk about a moment of realizing the realized impact. So that is amazing. What else? What does it mean to be well? Yes. Mm. Absolutely. Thank you so much for that. That idea of being balanced and being able to pull from different places within your life. When I drive around my community, I actually live down the street on Frenchman in the 7th Ward. So sometimes I drive around my community and I'm seeing things and I ask myself, what does it mean to be well? And I think about that balance, but then I also think about the idea of abundance. I think about the idea of abundance. Many of us are brought into this world with trauma embedded into our DNA. Many of us are brought into this world with a false sense of starting because we have inherited our ancestors' troubles, our ancestors' challenges. And I want to encourage you to think about, in addition to what it means to be well, is not only healing yourself for the moment, it's healing your younger child, but then also going back generations and releasing that energy of trauma that continuously impacts and plague our identity. So when I ask you, what does it mean to be well? It means to also think about and operate from the spirit of abundance. And it's one thing for us to pray for abundance, but it's also another thing for us to manifest that abundance, to believe that we are abundant, to also see and look out into our communities and see the possibility of abundance. And that's the work that we do at Dream House. I tell people all the time that it is important that you dream big and exercise imagination. It's important that you are thinking about this abundant mindset over the scarcity mindset. Many of us, thank you for that, many of us wake up in the day-to-day and we think about what we don't have. I don't have enough money to pay my bills. I don't have enough money to buy my kids the items that they need. I don't have enough money to put food on the table. I don't. Well, let me tell you what happens when you continue to focus on what you don't have. You will never have it. And so the idea of mental health, I want you all to understand that your reality in your mind becomes your reality in your environment. And so if you are thinking from a place of abundance, you will have abundance. If you are thinking from a place of love, you will have love. If you are thinking from a place of peace, you will have peace. And all the people that I work with, I dig in and ask them questions around their pattern of thinking. What are you thinking about in your day-to-day? Let's take it a step further when we think about our kids that we're working with. Too often, I coach principals and I'm asking them about their school data. And they tell me stories about like, oh, when my kids come from an impoverished neighborhood, like lack of resources, And so then I ask them, do you believe what's possible? Do you believe what's possible? Do you believe that they are beyond these societal ascriptions that we have ascribed to them? You're not gonna call me impoverished. You're not gonna call me under-resourced. You're not gonna call me ghetto. You're not gonna call me broke. You're not gonna call me challenged. Because none of those things describe who I am on the inside. And so when I work with school leaders and when I work with teachers, it's around that mindset of what is possible. If you are looking at your children and you see the stories that the news tell us, if you see the environment, but you don't see them, then they will only be what you allow them to be. And so this work is not only important for you as the mental health advocates, because we all are and we all should be. It's not only important for you to be taking care of your mental health, but you also have to create that space within your classrooms and within your school communities to dream big and exercise imagination. And the idea of exercising imagination means to see beyond the right now, to see beyond the stories that people tell us about our students. Too many times I was going to one classroom and the teacher would say, "Oh, child, you got to be careful with this particular student because he turns up in the classroom." I'm like, don't tell me that. I don't want to know that. First of all, I turned up. And I turned out great. So don't tell me about this child like misbehavior or bad behavior, poor behavior, or whatever you want to call it, because I don't want to know that. Every child deserves an opportunity to experience love in the classroom. And so when I was a dean of Relay Graduate School of Education, we launched this campaign, Teach with Love. And the whole idea behind Teach with Love was to target the mental health capacity of our educators and school leaders, to ask them this simple question: what does it mean to operate from the frequency of love? Meaning everything that you think, do, say, comes from that frequency of love. Amen? So, what I want to do is, what I want to do is, I think I'm coming up on my time, right? Oh, no. I'm going to do a quick breathing activity with you all. And this is something that you can do for yourselves. You can take back to your schools. This quick breathing activity is to breathe in, bring in the energy and frequencies that you want to operate from. So today our focus is on love, okay? So we're gonna breathe in the energy of love, and we're gonna exhale that energy of hate, despair, depression, anger, anxiety, because love cures all of that. And we're going to do that activity in the activity I like to call box breathing. So I'll model it for you. You breathe in for 4 seconds. You're going to hold it for 4 seconds. You're going to breathe out for 4 seconds. And then you're going to hold it again for 4 seconds. Okay? Breathe in for 4, hold it for 4, breathe out for 4, hold it for 4. It's called box breathing. And we're breathing in love. Everyone get ready. Breathe in. 2, 3, 4. I want you to hold it. 2, 3, 4. And exhale. 2, 3, 4. Breathe in that love. 2, 3, 4. Hold it. Feels what that love feels like. 2, 3, 4. And exhale. 2, 3, 4. Last one, we're breathing in abundance and love. Breathe in. 2, 3, 4. Hold it. 2, 3, 4. And exhale. 2, 3, 4. Y'all, 30 minutes goes by fast. I can't believe I've been up here for 30 minutes. But listen, what I want to tell you is, in your classrooms, before you start the do now, before you start the activation of prior knowledge, think about the power of mindfulness and meditation. When I was a school leader in Miami, we had school-wide initiatives where the first 2 minutes of every class period, we focused on breathing. What did that do? It reduced the number of send-outs. It reduced the number of calls from the deans, because I was like, you got to be the dean of your own classroom. So if your kids are turning up, if your kids are turning up in the classroom, don't match that energy, meet that energy with love. If they turn it up, then you got to bring it down a notch. And trust me, I've been there. I was a teacher, I yelled before, and then that didn't feel good. And so I'm like, okay, y'all are yelling. I'm going to exercise quiet power. I'm going to exercise this idea of all right, we're going to bring this energy down into the space so that we could focus. I wish I had more time with y'all. Come see me at Dream House Lounge. We're at 401 Barone Street. We do weekly wellness classes focused on meditation, mindfulness, breathwork, yoga, chakra balancing and healing. It is an honor to be in this space. Also, I forgot to mention this at the top, but thank you all for the work that you have done. Thank you for the work that you continue to do. I know that being an educator is a thankless job, and so I always make a point to say thank you. I love y'all for free, and I look forward to seeing y'all at Dream House Lounge, and I'll pass it back over to Pastor Everett.
Come on, blow that whistle louder. Come on. Woo. Come on, let's give Dr. Wallace another hand clap praise. I thought that was... While you're clapping for Dr. Wallace, come on, Marlon and Nick, won't y'all stand up? Let's give the creators of World and Vision clothing line a big hand clap of praise for being a part of this year. And while y'all clapping for them, come on, stand up, Greg. Let's give the CEO of Heroes of New Orleans a big hand clap of praise. Those are individuals who thought it was necessary and important to support and to partner to make sure this is possible, not just with their presence, but financially, amen? So let's give them another hand clap of praise, amen? All right, I don't want to have too much time in between speakers, but I want to bring up Sister Deidre Carr-Jones to talk about generational wealth, amen? Where's she at? Oh, she right there. All right, come on, let's give her a big hand clap of praise. The local chapter president of Noriba. Come on! Blow the whistle. One more time, blow the whistle.
Yay, yay, yay. All right, I am so excited. Dr. David Wallace was off the chart, right? So y'all do know it all starts with our mindset, right? We have to have the right mindset to do everything in life that we can do. And guess what? We could do all things through Christ that strengthens us. That's on my business card, y'all. So without any further ado, how many of you have heard of the National Association of Real Estate Brokers? 3, 4, 5. Okay, so now we are the Black National Association of Real Estate Brokers. We were founded in 1947 because blacks could not be a part of the MLS system with real estate. So we started our own. Today, we advocate for democracy and home ownership for blacks. We teach on creating generational wealth. How many of you know that creating generational wealth is so important? It's so important for us. I guess how many of us could sleep better at night if we were making money while we sleep, right? We could sleep real good at night, right? So I am the local chapter president of our local chapter, which is NOREBA, the New Orleans Real Estate Brokers Association. So in 1968, we were everything that you hear for blacks that's turning around in home ownership. It's because of NAREB. We are constantly advocating because the same disparities that we faced in 1968 when the Fair Housing Law was passed, we're still facing today. So what are we doing? What we are doing is we have to educate in 3 different ways. How many of us in here are homeowners? Awesome, awesome, awesome. Yay. All right, cousin, look. So now, that's the first step. What's the second step? You know, COVID just happened, right? It put a lot of us out of work, right? So if we were able to make money while we're sleeping, then that would have caused a lot of us to be able to sleep better. So how do we do that? A lot of you already have your first homes. What we teach our college grads and for all of the HBCUs, XU, I'm XU. Where Nigel at? All right, XU. All right. So we are Our HBCUs are doing their job, and we have to get more of our students into our HBCUs because we need to have people that truly care about us, okay? So what we do is, in 3 different areas, we teach about creating generational wealth. One is through financial literacy. Financial literacy is so important. When I was a freshman at Xavier, they gave me a credit card for, it was Maison Blanche. I used to go charge candy. Y'all remember the candy counters? I used to charge candy. So just because they give you a credit card, don't mean you should use that credit card, right? So you have to know how to do it. And I'm gonna be bringing my counterpart up. She is our past president, and she is part of with NARAB, we have our credit counseling agency. So they counsel you from the start to even after you purchase your home to make sure that you're able to stay in your home. So that's another way. So we teach financial literacy to our school children. We're really trying to put it back into, we're trying to get it into some of our HBCUs. We're working on 2, and we're trying to get a 3rd one in the city so that we can bring a financial literacy course. Because even my daughter is a pharmacist, and my son is an English major, and they don't know how to write a check. You know, you don't write checks. So we really have to teach financial literacy to our children. So another way, how many of you have parents that have passed and left property, or you have property that you don't even know about? What happens is, I also bought property for Xavier University for 12 years. I was the real estate agent. Gertown community, they have so many blighted properties because we own the properties. We knew our grandmother stayed in the property, but we don't know how to do successions. So what we do is we go to the seniors. We just went to the Sanchez Center about 3 weeks ago. And we go to them to teach them that you have to do wills. So how many of you in here have a will? Awesome. If you do not have a will, I want you to look forward, because the city of New Orleans, the African American Mayors Association, and NARAB have a partnership. And they picked 9 cities to come in to have 10,000 wills done. So start looking for advertisement about that. We met with the city about 2 weeks ago, and so we'll be meeting with them again to start breaking out this program. We need wills, y'all. We have to have wills. We need wills. We have to know how to go get our property, because if we don't, the first Wednesday of every month, there's an auction through Civic Source. And they're auctioning off your family's property. So that's how we're losing our land. So that's another way that we have to keep the land, okay? So the third way is we have to start buying multi-units. We have to get into the mindset. If you have not bought your first home, you can buy up to 4 units. You can live in one and let the other 3 pay all of your bills. That's what I'm talking about. Blow that whistle. Okay? Even if you buy a 2-unit, the other side can pay your note. My stepson told me he wanted his house note to be $300. And I'm like, $300? I laughed. So I said, okay, but guess what? It was, because he have a tenant. So it is $300. So so a lot of college students, college grads, I put them in multi-unit properties, because guess what? Once you get married, you and your significant other make sure that y'all both have multi-unit properties. When you get married, then you could go build your house, buy your house, a single family home, and guess what? You have multiple doors of income coming in. All right? So now, my son, it took him 3 years to find a house, because I would not let him rent. And so He bought a single because he kept saying, he wanted his laid out. I said, you're not approved for full $500,000 to get that type of property that's laid out. You're getting rental property. So you have to understand that. It's not going to be a property that's laid out. However, it's going to be a property that's allowing you to have a life that's laid out for you, right? So start thinking about that. We have got to change our mindsets. We're trying to catch our kids in high school. We want to partner with any high school, any of y'all that want us to come in. That's what we're here for. We're here to come teach not just the students, but the teachers about creating generational wealth. And the difference is when you purchase your first home, you're able to get an FHA loan through the federal government with a 3.5% down payment. The difference is if you purchase your first home already and you want to go and buy that investment property, if it's 2 or more units, that down payment have changed to 25%. So a $200,000 house is $50,000 versus $7,500. So you will want to make that your first purchase, right? So now, I want everybody in here to know and to let everybody know, because the reason that our home ownership rate today, in 1968, it was 41%. Today is just 45%. White America is 75. Asian American is 62. And that's because we have to educate. If y'all know anybody that's on Section 8, Section 8 have a home ownership program. Let the Section 8 home ownership program stop paying your landlord's mortgage and let them stop paying your mortgage. All right? All you have to do is qualify. You have to have a 2-year full-time employment to qualify. So if you know anybody that's on Section 8, let them know that the city of New Orleans and the parish of Jefferson both have first-time home ownership programs. So knowledge is power, right? Y'all are the teachers in here. We have got to spread this knowledge. I stopped doing home buying seminars, but found myself I started doing them again because knowledge is power. And so many people believe that they cannot buy a house. Why? We get fearful of what? What's the biggest thing you think people are fearful of to go buy a house? Credit. Right? So guess what? If your credit is bad, it's okay, join the rest of us. We've all been there, right? But what's not okay is to stay there. You cannot stay there. Knowledge is power. So it may not be today. However, you start working on it so that it can be one day. Because guess what? Yes, you can. You can purchase that home, okay? Fear freezes us in place, and we have got to stop that. That's why the Bible have do not fear so many times, because we should not fear. But I was there. I was fearful. My ex-husband kept saying, we're about to build a house, and I know I had done something with a credit card, right? I had bought him something at Service Merchandise. If y'all remember that, that's a long time ago. And I sent the bill to my mom's house, so I was surprising them. So I would pay the bill late every month. So every time he wanted to sell our house to build, I'm like, I don't think we should do it. So finally, somebody freed me. And they said, all you have to do is challenge it on the credit report. And that happened, but I was frozen. So I'm telling you, I know how you feel because I was there. Okay, so I'm telling you, if I could do it, you can do it. All right, so without any further ado, I'm going to bring up our financial literacy person, because I don't even know how much time I have, y'all, because I know I talk a lot. So I'm going to bring her up. Thank you.
Thank you. So let's talk about how to actually strategically build this wealth. All right, so the first thing we have to do is focus on establishing as well as maintaining financial stability. How many of y'all know that the average white household wealth is 8 times the average black household wealth? We behind, y'all. It's time we catch up. and the word is knowledge, right? So I come today to give you the knowledge to build wealth. The Bible says that God give us what? The power to build wealth. So here it is, it's in the knowledge. So next slide, please. All right, so the first thing we have to do, if we're going to talk about establishing and maintaining financial stability, we're going to have to first evaluate our current financial situation. What's your current financial situation? So how do we do that? First, we have to look at our income. What are we bringing in monthly, right? And that's not just what you're bringing in from your job. You may have some other type of income, Social Security, rental income, amen? All right, so we want to look at every type of income that you're receiving, right? And then we're going to do our homework, all right? So when we get into this expenses piece of it, right? That's where we have to do our homework. How many of y'all know how much y'all spend every month? Like really, how much you spend? All right, so this is your assignment. All right, so I want everybody from starting today, either you're going to pull out an app or you're going to get you a sheet of paper if you won't go old school, but every penny you spend, I don't care if it's a coffee from PJ's, I don't care if it's a bubble gum from the gas station, I want you to start writing it down. All right, we're going to write down every single penny that we spend every single day, and we're going to do this for 30 days. Right?
Homework, teacher.
Hey. All right, so after the 30th day, we're going to start looking and breaking these things down, right? How much am I spending on food? How much am I spending on entertainment? How much am I spending on, you should know your utility bills and whatnot, right? So we can start working on that now. So you got your fixed expenses, you know what those are. But I'm talking about those restaurants. I'm talking about those purses. Talking about those things. So we're going to write all of that down, right? So once after 30 days, we have figured out what those expenses are, right? We know how much we're spending every month. I promise you, when you look at it, you're going to say, I did not realize that I was spending like $3,000 a month on food. I promise you. So this is where we start looking at creating our budget and reducing those expenses, because I promise you, you are spending more than what you actually spend, what you actually realize that you're spending. All right, so now we're creating that budget. We must live our lives by a budget. We cannot spend anything that we did not plan to spend. So I need everybody to create their spending plan. So within 30 days, all right, I'm gonna need you to ask them in 30 days, how many of y'all got y'all spending plan? All right. And I'm going to ask thee, I want to know, everybody got their spending plan, all right? So we have our spending plan, and now because we have our spending plan and we done created this budget, we can create a savings plan, right? And understand that savings plan is us paying ourselves first, because I promise you, when you realize how much you're giving away on things that we really don't need to spend our money on, you're going to rather give that to yourself, okay? So we got the income and expenses, we got our budget, right? So now we're going to look at our current housing situation, right? Because remember, we're talking about this building wealth thing, and we have to be wise as it pertains to maintaining our financial stability. But we have to look at other ways to bring in income, right? So as Madam Deidre just shared with us, we have to focus on building wealth with this thing called real estate, y'all. I set a goal, okay? I want to be on the Forbes list. I'm going to be on the Forbes list, okay? And so in order for me to accomplish that, I did my homework. I went and started studying the people who are actually on the Forbes list, right? And the one thing that I learned is that the majority of the people who are on the Forbes list, one of their means of wealth building was real estate. So we in the right area, y'all. So in order to focus on building wealth via real estate, we have to be in a position where we're able to qualify for mortgage loans, okay? Because we don't want to have to spend all of our cash, and a lot of us just don't have the kind of cash that's necessary to purchase real estate, but we can get there. We can use purchasing real estate to build us up to where we are able to pay cash for those real estate investments that we're trying to make, okay? So in the real estate world, when we're talking about financial stability, they're going to look at income and expenses, then they're going to look at your current housing situation and history. The key word is stability. They like to see that things are stable and things are staying the same, right? So in the mortgage world, 2 years is what they consider as stable. I heard Dee mention about 2 years with the employment history, right? Same thing. So after they look at housing, they're looking at employment. Okay, so we want to stay in the same field, the same industry. So I'm not saying if you're a teacher at one school and at another school offer you more money and more benefits, okay, it's okay to do that. But we want to make sure that we continue to teach our kids, right? So we want to keep stability. Everything must stay the same. All right, so next slide, please. All right, so how do we improve our financial situation, which I already went through this with y'all. I got a little ahead of myself. So we can go to the next slide. I want you all to see this. This is one of my favorite charts to share because for those of you who are not homeowners, I want you to see how much you are giving to someone else to build wealth. So somebody in the room who's renting, tell me how much you're paying. At least one person, let me know how much you're paying a month for rent. Girl, all right, you all the way up there. So we gonna give you, oh, absolutely not, because we about to give you the power to get up out that thing, okay? So she's $1,550, right? So just looking at $1,500, which is a little bit more, all right? So let's cross over to every year she is spending $18,000 plus. She is just giving to the landlord, right? Then in 5 years, $90,000. 10 years, $180,000. You done bought those folks' house. All right? And then in 15 years, $270,000 plus. So every renter, you there, but we're here to help you change that because we need to put that in your pocket. Understand the breakdown of the mortgage payment. Even if we have to do financing, understand that the mortgage payment consists of your principal portion, your interest portion, your taxes, and your insurance, all right? How many of you all know that the principal portion of the payment is you paying you? That is going into your house every month is equity. This is how we build wealth, all right? That interest portion of your payment is tax deductible, so you get to write that off, all right? The money that you're paying the bank to loan you that money, you get to write it off. All right, and then we have our taxes and insurances. We got to insure stuff, and we got to pay the city of New Orleans or whatever parish that you live in. All right, so next slide, please. Let's get into the meat and potatoes here. And so we got the financial part, right? Okay, we're financially stable, right? All right, so now let's look at this credit because we know credit is key. I saw you guys say credit is one of the things that we fear the most, right? So in order to establish and maintain good credit, right, the first thing you have to do, just like your financials, you have to review your credit history. It's very important that you know where to view your credit history. There it is, annualcreditreport.com. That website is regulated by the federal government. You get one free credit report every year. Notice I said credit report, not credit score, right? Currently, right now, you can get them weekly, I believe it is. Due to the COVID pandemic, they're allowing you to get them weekly. That is where you want to go because the three main credit bureaus, Experian, Equifax, and TransUnion, they are competitors. They do not share information. So you cannot get information about Experian from TransUnion or vice versa. You have to go to the source. That's the key. All right, next slide, please. All right, so a credit report is just simply a record of your business or personal credit and is used to determine future credit worthiness, right? Now, let's talk about credit scores because I know people often think that if I'm getting my credit report, I'm getting my credit score. There's two different things. Let's understand credit scoring systems. The most widely used credit scoring system is FICO. All right. So when you're looking at, say, Credit Karma, for example, that's not a FICO score, that's a Vantage score. So that's why when you apply for different things, they'll say, you're like, oh, my credit score is whatever. It's not that that's wrong. It's just that they're not using the same scoring model. So I'm going to do this real quick because I only got a few more minutes. So I'm going to combine together understanding credit scores, establishing credit, and maintaining credit, because it really all boils down to the breakdown of credit scores, all right? So credit scores range from 350 to 850, all right? 35% is your payment history. So if 35% is your payment history, then in order to establish and maintain good credit, you simply got to pay your bills on time, all right? What is on time to the credit bureau? Very important. Write this down. In order for the credit bureaus or for any creditor to report you late to the credit bureau, you have to be 30 days late for them to report you as late. So that's very important. If you get in trouble, you need to call them, work something out. Do not let those folks report you as late to the credit bureau, because your score is going to drop drastically. The second portion is going to be debt to credit ratio. That accounts for 30% of your credit score. I rocks with debt to credit ratio because it's fair. Okay, the payment history report, you can pay your bills on time for years, right? And but one late, your credit score is going down like the Titanic. So this is why it's very important. We don't allow that to happen. But with debt to credit ratio, it simply means that the amount of debt you owe opposed to the credit that you were given. So this is a very, very, very good tool to utilize to build and maintain or even reestablish credit, okay? One of the easiest things to do is a credit card. So guess what? I know Deidre talked about the credit card and not using it, but it is one of the means that actually show that you're responsible. So we have to be responsible if we're gonna build good credit, okay? And basically what you're saying is that if I, as a banker or a lender, give you, say, $1,000 credit limit, I wanna see how you're gonna manage that $1,000, all right? And if every month you got this $1,000, right, but you say you only use about $100 of that $1,000, that shows them that you are responsible. So that's why debt to credit ratio has such a heavy weight on it, okay? So you want to have those credit cards or lines of credit, but you want to use them responsibly. And that means keeping low debt to credit ratio. 15% is length of credit history, so don't close accounts. Even if you pay it off, don't close it, because if you close it, then it's going to cause your credit score to drop. That's 15%. 10% is diversity of accounts, and the other 10% is inquiries. So basically, if you want to maintain or establish good credit, right, you're going to pay your bills on time, right? You're going to maintain low credit utilization. You're not going to close accounts, right? And you're also going to focus on not opening new accounts, because that length of credit history, that's a short credit history. Diversity means you're going to have different things. So we don't want to have all the same types of accounts, right? And then we don't want to get our credit pulled, because if we get our credit pulled a lot, every time you get your credit pulled, that has an impact. All right, so I think I just kind of summarized all the rest of the slides all in one. Are there any questions? All right.
Okay, one question, because we have to do everything in decency and in order, and our time is up. Thank you. So, yes, we're here. We're at the first table. Okay, he said we can continue. So, any questions? Because y'all, look, knowledge is power. So many people tell you the wrong things about your credit, right? Now you know, do not close an old credit card, even if you have a zero balance. Don't close it. I made that mistake. Do not close it. So, any other questions that y'all may have? Yes. Can you teach them and tell them about the credit cards? Yes, I wanted to share that. Okay, so she'll.
Slide, yes. All right, so secure credit cards is one of my favorite ways because it's one of the most effective ways to establish credit as well as reestablish credit. Because if you get messed up along the way, a secure card is something that you can use to reestablish as well. So with a secure line of credit, be it a credit card or a loan, what that is you take and you go to, say, Liberty Bank, right? And you say, hey, Mr. Liberty Bank, here is 500 of my dollars that I want to put in a savings account, right? And I want you to hold my $500 while you extend me a loan or a credit card in the amount of $500 or both, because remember we talked about diversity of credit, right? And so what happens is Liberty Bank is okay with extending you that $500 credit card or line of credit because you have given them $500 to hold in the event that you don't pay them, right? So basically you're borrowing against your own money. It gives you the opportunity to show the bank that you are responsible because we understand that, people have behaviors, things in life change. People go through things that may cause them to have a hardship or whatnot, or maybe they're just young and they haven't built up their character yet or whatnot. But understand that a secure credit card gives you the opportunity to show, hey, this is where I am right now. I'm responsible. All right. And when utilizing that, you would use those same tools that I just taught you. Paying on time, maintaining low balances, right? I talked about diversity. Do not close those accounts. If you pay it off, then just maybe charge something and then pay it right back off just so that creditor won't close that account on you. Mm-hmm. Yes. Yeah, and that was a blessing because usually once they close it, they won't reopen it. So you better say hallelujah on that one because they usually won't reopen it for you. So you want to be mindful of that. If you've paid it off, then every now and then just maybe, get some candy on it and then pay it off. Right, and then you can just pay it right off, but just don't allow it to close. You had a question, hon? Oh my God, I'm so glad that you asked that. Actually, that is something that I do not recommend. Oh, I'm sorry. The question was, she asked, what do I think about self-reporting? Okay, so self-reporting is something that's offered through the credit bureaus. I believe TransUnion is very popular for it. And basically what they'll do is they'll have you to take like your utility bill or maybe your cell phone bill, and they will report those bills to the credit bureau for you monthly. Because we're in this wealth building mind, right? That is something that it does not help your credit score because what they're going to do is they're going to take, say if your utility bill is $150, right? They're going to report that the high balance is $150, right? And it's also going to show that your balance is $150, right? So now you have high utilization. Okay, so it does not assist you with what you're trying to accomplish. So opposed to self-reporting, I would go with what your boy recommended back there. Do secure credit cards, secure loans. Those are the best ways to establish and reestablish credit. If you're in the process of applying for a mortgage loan as well and you're self-reporting, the lenders will now count those payments against your debt to income ratio that wouldn't usually be counted against you because they don't count utilities, they don't count cell phone bills. But if you're self-reporting it on your credit report, now that's something else that's going to be counted against your debt to income ratio. So the whole structure of the self-reporting is not as beneficial as it appears to be. It just adds a trade line on your credit report, but it's not something that's strong that will help you be able to build credit, so I do not recommend it. Yes, so rent, so that's a good one that you can have on your credit report, the rent, because that is a installment loan, right? And so when they report that, that's something. Now, if you have trade lines, don't do it, okay? But if you do not have any trade lines, the rent is one that is safe to do. Yes. Right. So a trade line is just an account that you have that is open and active that you're paying on it every month. Yes. Yeah. But because like if you apply for a mortgage loan, the lenders are going to request that 12-month payment history from your company anyway. So, yeah. But those are a lot safer than the utilities and the cell phones. So it's all about what you know that you're going to be responsible with. It's all about how much you trust yourself with. Because at the end of the day, you can having a lot of credit cards on your credit report doesn't necessarily hurt you. You're going to get hurt by the inquiries, while you're building that up. So a healthy credit report has 3 open trade lines. Yeah, so the healthiest mix would be a mortgage, and then some type of installment loan, like a auto loan, but do not buy a car while you're in the process of buying a house. And then some type of revolving account, which is a credit card or a line of credit. Come on. Okay, so student loans, the primary thing that you want to focus on with student loans is making sure that they're not in default. When you have student loans, it is something that is counted in that debt to credit ratio mix. So if you can avoid it, yes, but most of us have had to get student loans. That's one of the areas that our organization really advocates on heavily. Like when I was sitting back on the computer, that's what I was literally writing my argument about. Student loans that's going to be presented next week, yes. So prayerfully, Joe Biden will get these student loans forgiven for us. Yes, because we need that. We definitely need that, yes. But it's not, like I said, it has a negative impact as far as your debt to credit ratio. No, I'm talking about the fact that you have them, not the forgiveness. The forgiveness piece, that's gonna set us free.